I love the hell out of my country, but I don't trust my government anymore. My son received a vaccine, and he died a few days later. The only explanation that was given to me was a large heart. So if I have anything to say to anybody, look down at your child. It's not worth the risk. I mean, you see your baby right now, you might not see your baby tomorrow. I have to live with that the rest of my life.
Well, as a father of four, my oldest is my 18-year-old son, I see our guest coming on, and I see the photo of his very handsome son behind him, and it makes me want to start crying. It also makes me think violent thoughts about the people that did this to his son, who thought he was doing the right thing and trying to help people. But we're going to bring him to justice through the courts, ladies and gentlemen, and don't worry, they will pay. They violated the Nuremberg Code, Geneva Convention, and a lot more with this secret experimentation and lying to the public about it being authorized. Last October, the CDC accidentally flashed up in a slideshow, and then later it was, quote, declassified, a list of potential side effects that they knew from previous studies of similar mRNA shots was causing. It includes myocarditis and then flat-out heart attacks, swelling of the heart. So I know it's hard for Ernesto Ramirez to talk about Ernesto Jr., his son, but we only saw a short clip of him on local Fox. Hundreds gather at Texas Capitol to oppose vaccine mandates. And then a reporter that we work with, Christy Lee, also did a more in-depth interview that's also at man.video. So I really appreciate him coming on to talk about this, to make sure that his son's passing over to God's side is not in vain here, and he can warn other people. So I know it must be hard to do this. It's hard for me to even do the interview, so I can't imagine what it's like for him. So Ernest, let's talk about Ernest Jr., what happened, and I really appreciate you coming on. Sorry, I know it's hard. God bless you.
Well, like I said, I took the Moderna because it was just me and my son. It's always been just us two. And we were locked up in the house. When all this started up, we figured it's safest to just keep to ourselves. And so I took it because I'm in and out from work. My son I'd wake him up in the morning, give him a kiss, tell him, excuse me, I would tell him I love you, go to work. When I get home, he'd run outside. I always call him my baby boy. He was almost a little bit bigger than me, but he'd run outside, give me a hug, and I'd give him a kiss, and we prepare for the evening, what are we going to do, what are we going to eat. So they started advertising, saying it was safe for teenagers. And like I said, my concern, we were never apart. We're always together. And I started thinking, if he gets sick, and he has to go to the hospital, there's no way in the world they're going to keep me from his side. I'm going to end up getting in trouble or whatever. So I said, well, they're telling me it's safe. Pfizer's safe for him. So I waited, a couple more weeks, and they kept announcing, it's good for the teenagers. So I said, okay, let's go take it. So he took the Pfizer shot at a local hospital here, and we still stayed home. We didn't go out. And finally, my neighbors, they're like family. Her husband's my best friend. Their kids are like my own kids. Well, they asked to take them out to eat. I said, yeah, they're good Christian people. So they went to eat. They went to the park to play basketball. She said the three boys were running from one side to the other, and he just collapsed. While he was running, he collapsed and fell. And a local PD just happened to be at the park, and he started doing CPR. My best friend, he started giving him mouth to mouth, and there was nothing they could do. The ambulance got there. As soon as I got there, they loaded him up, and I chased the ambulance to the hospital. And they told me, your son's dead. I couldn't believe it. Couldn't believe it at all. And they took the local detectives. They came and told me that he had passed due to an enlarged heart. And I got upset because they're not even doctors. How are they going to know that it was an enlarged heart. Why didn't a doctor call me or something else? That's what I appreciate. Miss Ivory Hecker, she investigated. Texas Health Department never called me back. They transferred me to 6 different people. And to this day, I have not received a call from them. I emailed Governor Abbott also, still haven't got any emails from him either. And when Miss Hecker talked to one of the doctors, he said he figured my son wasn't vaccinated there. And she showed him his card. And he goes, oh, well, maybe because the side effect, because he was obese or something. So she showed him a photo. Does he look like he's obese? And he said, no, he looked like a normal 16-year-old boy. And I mean, and then he said, well, maybe his paperwork, got misplaced. I said, what? It meant nothing to them. It's not their loss, it's my loss.
Did you know, sir, that they're actually told at the hospitals, I've had guests on about it, to cover up that the vaccine is doing this. Did you know that the federal government, when they were preparing to do the emergency authorization last October, said in a report that's now public that they believe Moderna and Pfizer, they'd already seen it with similar shots in Europe and Israel, would cause heart attacks in teenage boys?
No, sir. I didn't hear anything till after he passed in April. I didn't hear any type of reports till after his passing. I heard that it was 60% of the teenagers were passing due to enlarged heart. Even if they would have said 10%, I wouldn't have risked not even no percentage. But my son was worth more than that. I mean, like I said, nothing can bring him back. The government, I don't care what there's no amount of money that can replace my son. He was the best kid there was. I mean, I've never had no problem. I love the hell out of him. We're a team, me and him. I always said, it's me and you against the world. He was my world.